Hey everyone, Michael Manaskanian here. Well, we're gonna have to restart that. I don't know what I am. All right. Hey everyone, Michael Manaskanian here, your coach for wealth through real estate. So we're just gonna get right into it today. I have a few awesome things to announce. So first of all is our winners for the month of June. I'm gonna show you real quickly. If you don't know, as soon as you log into the homepage of our school, you go into the community section, the top pin is the monthly challenges, prizes, and how you can win. You should at this point please know about all this. If you're watching this as a recording, then you've already, unlocked this training, which means you're pretty well, pretty knowledgeable about the school community at this point, because you've been using it for a while. But our three winners for, so we don't have the fourth one this month, we will next month. But our three winners for the month of June, first is Charlie Wang, who gets the access to the paid intentional investor community. That is the community that is much more hand-holding than the wealth through real estate. In wealth through real estate, we talk about the higher level concepts. I provide these Q&As and underwriting sessions. I have videos and trainings, but the intentional investor community is really geared towards those that want to recreate my business model, which simply is buying real estate, primarily creatively financed, leveraging other people's money to fund the deals, right? So raising capital and buying creative deals primarily. And then whatever money you have, you are lending that out as a private money lender, private money partner, or a transactional lender in the meanwhile. So that is very much more focused on exactly recreating my business model, which is great for both cash flow, wealth generation, as well as putting all of your own money to work. So that is for Charlie. That's awesome. And then next is Peter Yim, who's going to get lifetime access to my ultimate creative finance calculator. All of my tools can be found on my website. You just go to shop for any of the paid calculators. Here's the ultimate creative finance calculator. Consultations, if you're ever interested in that, if you need help analyzing deals, setting up your roadmap or your blueprint, your business blueprint, and then resources have some of my free tools, including the creative finance real estate investing calculator and the conventional finance real estate investing calculator, plus some of my favorite services that I utilize, including the awesome Sub2 community. So if you use my affiliate link for Sub2, you actually, no one gets a discount, like they don't give you a discount or anything, whether you do it regularly or through my link. But what I do is I get paid a little bit of money on that. Doesn't come from you, comes from them. And what I offer in exchange is a 30-minute consultation where I'll basically help you develop your roadmap, your plan for how to really hit the ground running right after you join Sub2. And then last but not least is Lance Bentley, who it gets the 30-minute one-on-one consultation. So I will be reaching out to all the winners to go over their prices and kind of the timelines and how that works. But I just want to share that to all of you. Secondarily, I have a deal that we're currently raising capital on. It is a awesome property. So this is a private money partnership opportunity. So this is a private money partnership opportunity. Very simply, a private money partner is someone that lends the capital to acquire the deal, and then they get ownership benefits, which include cash flow, as well as a portion of the tax depreciation and interest payments. They get the tax benefits from that. They get ownership benefits, including appreciation, as well as principal pay down. So they get all of those benefits. They are actually an owner of the asset, as well as generating cash flow from it. So this is an awesome property in Kalispell, Montana. So let's get right into it. This is part of my Coast to Coast Vets, my buy and hold business. So this property is a 5-bedroom, actually has a 6th bedroom as well as a den type office type area that we're going to be converting to a a little podcast studio office space so people can create content or get work done in there. This is one of the larger homes in town in Kalispell, Montana, which is great. And it's going to be a great resource for a lot of those in the Sub2 community, including those that are attending the Community camp, there's one in July of this year as well as September. I'll be at the September one. I was almost going to go to both, but with the new baby, it's a little tough. Pace, Morby invites people out for a day with Pace. So multiple people every single week are heading to Montana. Sometimes it's in Arizona, but currently everyone is in Montana for the next several months. So, great place for them to stay there. Tons of tourist attractions outside of the Sub 2 community, including Glacier National Park. It's just minutes away from the airport and downtown, and there's just tons of amazing nature and adventures out there. And we have, we can quickly look at photos. There are a lot of, it's coming, majority is furnished, and it's got some awesome furnishings. Some of it will be going and we'll be replacing it. But we are set to close on this property next Friday, July 19th. So let's get into what that looks like. So we have two options for our private money partners. Really, the returns are the same. The difference is whether you are funding the full $142,000 entry and getting all of the ownership benefits that we're offering, or you are coming in as a private money partner and we're split up the total ownership opportunity into 4 segments. So up to 4 people can join in on this. So to get the same total capital raise, equity is 10%. Each share is 10%. We're giving up 40% total ownership of the property, but we are giving up 25% of the cash flow. So our partners on this deal are going to be generating all of the cash flow until they achieve at least a 7% cash on cash return or 7% return on their money. Once they do that, then the monthly payments will be in alignment with our equity split, but they will also get the 10% ownership of the asset. The majority of the funds are going towards acquisition costs. Whatever we need to get the property acquired, down payments, wholesaler fees, closing costs, that kind of stuff. We do have money set aside for updates and furnishings, as well as we have a healthy reserves account set up for the property. So if and when something occurs, especially going into shoulder season between summer and winter, we want to make sure we have reserves for the property ready to go. We'll primarily be managing this property as a short-term rental, but we are going to be doing a lot of additional marketing on the property, to get it on a variety of platforms. So we're not just going to be, listed. We don't just list on Airbnb or anything like that. We have a full marketing plan for it. All right. So the anticipated returns for each private money partner is around 8% cash on cash return, right? And that's just the cash flow benefits. When you account for the other benefits of ownership, including debt pay down, appreciation, the tax benefits that come with interest payments and depreciation, assuming a 28% income tax bracket, your total return on investment is 20% or closer to 21%, right? So if you were just a private money lender, you might be getting somewhere between 10 to 12% return on your money, which is equivalent to what the cash on cash return translates to. However, because of the ownership benefits, your total ownership is closer to 21% because you get to partake in these other benefits. All right. So here's some information in regards to the property income and expenses. I will highlight that we're purchasing this property subject to its existing loan, which is a VA loan around 5-ish%. And we have a seller finance component as well. So this is a hybrid creative deal. And for this creative deal, the hybrid portion or the seller finance portion is at 0%. So all of our payments to the seller on the seller finance loan are principal only, which is even more beneficial for the ownership benefits. Okay. So as I mentioned, we will be operating as a short-term rental, potentially adding that 6th bedroom. We'll be going to be spending a decent amount of the funds on really decking out that backyard with a hot tub, games to play, things like that to attract more guests, especially larger families, right? Since it's a bigger property, larger groups and larger families, as well as those that want to rent it by the room for events, since there's going to be a lot of events in the area that, people want to get together on. Here are some short-term rental comps. We have Landon Moore from Sub 2, a Sub 2 leader, who also has a short-term rental literally just walking distance away from ours. His is, it's listed as 4-bedroom. It's really more of a 3-bedroom that can house up to 10 guests. Ours is 5 up to 6 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms that house, that will house much more than that, over a dozen people. And conservatively, he's looking at around $60,000 to $70,000 a year in revenue. We've seen more similar comps, even smaller comps, just depending on what it is, above 90,000. With all of our comps and analysis, we've only put the revenue at $81,000 a year for revenue, as we're always very conservative in the way that we underwrite, because I'd much rather under promise to our lenders and partners and then over deliver. And that's the goal with this one as well.
A sub 2 community come 2024, make sure you're a community camp.
There you go. There's a ton of events out there, a lot of sub 2 events near a lot of national parks, including Glacier National Park, ski resorts. So it's very good year round. Lots of adventures, outdoor adventures. All right, let's continue along. All right. Thanks, y'all. I just wanted to highlight that deal. And now that, one thing I do want to highlight, I'll link it below. If you are ever interested in partnering with us as a private money lender for a fixed interest rate return, or a private money partner who gets ownership benefits as well as cash flow, here is our form. I'll drop the link underneath this video, so you can just sign up and be part of any of our future and capital raising opportunities. And we'll leave it at that. Does anyone have any questions about anything? Whether you want to do we can do deal analysis and underwriting. I can answer any questions. Last week, we focused a lot on lending opportunities. That was a big focus area of last week's Q&A. Any questions from anyone in here about literally anything? Personal finance, real estate investing, creative finance, deal analysis, whatever.
This property is really attractive. The fact that you can rent it literally year round.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Me too. I will state a lot of the times in these touristy areas, there is a shoulder season, which is between like summer and winter, when it's changing from one to the other. It's not as toured. That's why we have additional marketing strategies that we're going to implement to make it, still have steady income even throughout those months. But I will highlight that is sometimes the concern is seasonality. However, because this is both winter and summer attractions, it really makes it much more universal than a lot of places. And even like the September, October months, or the April, May months, because of where it's at, it's not as intense as some of the other, for example, I own in Alaska, right? It gets really extreme. The weather changes are extreme. So you do have huge reductions in tourism during those months. But for example, September, October are still great months for people who want maybe discounted travel to go and check out like fall and things like that. Like they go for other reasons. Maybe they're not actively doing a glacier hike, or they're not actively snowboarding, or they're not actively going whitewater rafting, but there's still a lot of hikes and things like that to enjoy in nature, which I really do enjoy about this property as well. It's much more steady as an income source compared to some of our really tourist markets.
When you underwrote this property, do you happen to have like your deal or no deal sheet up and ready to see what numbers you plugged in, besides looking at, the short-term rental income? Like, how did you compare it to other properties? Did a wholesaler bring it to you? Did your team find it? Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So
Question too.
yeah, one thing I will always share with you all, and I will always recommend, is trying to be the generator of every one of your leads is ineffective. It's not that it's not possible. It's not that you won't get the best deals that way, but your volume is extremely limited, and it's a whole business model in itself to generate deals, whether it's on or off market. We still, maybe 10 to 20% of the deals that we acquire, we generate ourselves through our own, our own team, our own outreach, things like that. But 80+% of our deals are going to be coming from wholesalers. However, what we tend to do is when a deal comes from a wholesaler, we look at it and see if it's a deal for us. Is it a deal for us that we want to buy right away? Usually it's not, as is. Usually people are putting together terms that are not ideal. But if there's potential that I think we could renegotiate, my business partner, I think we can renegotiate it. Maybe the seller finance loan, maybe there's a seller finance loan. Maybe there's a high entry or down payment to the seller. Maybe it's a high payment to the wholesaler. Yeah, if it's seller finance loan, maybe you can reduce the interest rate, things like that. Then we'll decide, like, if it's not a buy right away, will we renegotiate it? Which is very common. We're going to renegotiate with the wholesaler. Sometimes as simple as saying, hey, at this assignment fee, we could do it, but not, if you want 20K, maybe it doesn't work, but at 10K it does. Rarely is that the issue. Usually it's, hey, I love that the seller is motivated to sell. They're open to seller financing, but they're looking for 6% interest. We literally cannot make this work any higher than 2% interest. We can even add $5,000 or $10,000 to the purchase price, but our monthly payment has to be less than this amount, and that only occurs at this interest rate. So that's a lot of what happens. Or we're doing a lot of cash to seller right now. Could we split that 50K into 6 and 12-month intervals instead of all at the beginning, allowing that? Or hey, can we defer payments 6 to 12 months after we are able to go in, renovate the property, increase the income, and then start making those higher payments? We've done all those in the last few weeks. 2 properties under contract right now that we've done that. Similar strategies. So all of our deals, the majority of our deals will come from other people, but it's our job to then analyze and determine how can we make this deal work. Some of the times it's instead of pulling the full 10% for maintenance and CapEx every single month, what we can do is we can front load those reserves. So we'll raise them up front, and which will mean our cash flow will be temporarily higher as long as we don't have to tap into our reserves. That means we have to raise more capital, and we're typically paying more interest because of that. However, at least we have the money set aside right away to handle any issues. That's another strategy that we implement at times to increase cash flow, but still have the reserve set aside for a property. There's a lot of that in regards to how we found the deal, how we negotiated it typically. What we had to do with this one was just suggest different forms of the seller finance payment. The seller was pretty much going to move forward as is. They needed the money that they needed to. Their motivation was that they have their VA loan locked into this property. They're already under contract on another property. They've had to move for a family situation. They've already moved, and they've already been qualified by the lender. They don't need to remove the debt to income or anything like that. They just need some of the cash to pay the down payment for their new property. So that's a big thing of, we couldn't negotiate the down payment to the sellers. That's why it's as high as it is for this entry. But fortunately, a lot of the majority of the money that's being raised is going towards paying the seller out some of their equity. So the money is being utilized, effectively in that regards. Money is going to improve the property, and then money is going to be set aside for reserves for that property. If I pull up the analysis, what you'll see is that, yes, we analyze deals using my spreadsheet. However, what you'll see is that's great until you start getting in the weeds of things. Like, that's a great way to analyze a deal before you decide to put it under contract. Once you put it under contract, you start changing everything. Like, everything starts changing. You start renegotiating things. You start hard coding and overwriting things. So it becomes a mess by the time it's all said and done. So let me see.
And I saw it was listed on Zillow, so this was like a direct to agent? Direct
to agent, yeah. Well, we're with the wholesaler, but they went direct to agent. So there's an agent commission, there's all that. So we negotiated a bit on the agent commission, all that kind of stuff to say, hey, this is the most we can pay to get into this deal. And this is what we need to renegotiate because we don't see enough cash flow to make it work unless we get rid of the interest on this loan.
And was it sitting in the market for a while?
We could look that up. It
Sorry,
was for a little
I'm
while.
asking this question because that's my current struggle right now. I get as far as I find the deals, well, I'm in Florida, so I find the deals on the MLS. So many Airbnbs in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Well, we went through this, and I get as far as talking to the agent, and I'm an agent myself, but I don't consider myself one. I'm just licensed. So I get into the weeds with them or just discussing subject to or seller finance, and it's like a pause. And then these are properties that are sitting 60, 70 days.
Right.
Market, beautiful properties like what you're showing us. And then I get stuck. And I'm trying to help another sub-2 student get their second home / investment property down here in Florida. and I'm like stuck. So I'm about to reach out to a wholesaler to help me out because I clearly can't do this on my own. I mean, I was never going to. I needed help from yourself, somebody else, your JV, and go through the whole contract process. But this sub two student is just busy like yourself. It goes, Giselle, I want to give you, give you your deal, my first deal. Let me try and help you out. So that's the kind of action that I'm taking. That's why I'm asking all these questions to see, maybe I should ask more questions, where the motivation's at and all that stuff. Because some agents, no matter how friendly I am with them, they just kind of like, whoop, they just
You have to be
pause.
subtle with creative financing. You have to be subtle with
Yeah.
all of that. When you say that you think they're good candidates for creative finance, are you just saying because they're sitting for a while or because you're looking at mortgage info or?
I see all that. Like, within 5 minutes of me looking at the property, the first thing I look at is how long it's been sitting in the market, where it is, a specific area, and then I look at the mortgage info. And when I see that, it's like, oh my God, so many of them under 3%. I'm like, okay, some of them are even
Low
private.
equity or that are high equity?
No, the equity's there. It's just they're just low rates. I could tell that they were bought in 2021, 2020. And excuse me, and you can tell that either A, they're getting rid of it because they're getting divorced was one story. Another one was, oh yeah, we just want to offload our Florida properties. People are getting out because of insurance, but other sub two students don't care because so long as the property cash flows are rents throughout the year, they're okay with that.
Right.
So that kind of stuff. But I think maybe what I need to be doing is maybe either asking more questions or just finding those bunnies, right?
Right. It's all about the motivation. That's why I want to clarify, like something could be a great candidate for me as a buyer because it's a low interest rate, but like the seller or agent don't care about that. What they care about, for example, one deal that I was looking at right now is, or actually we could go to this Montana deal. The thing is, it's been sitting for around 60 days. It's been in contract after like 50-ish days of sitting, but they were a good candidate because they were already open to a loan assumption for their VA loan. So they were already somewhat open to some concept of it. It's not creative finance, but they're open to someone taking over their loan. Although assuming a loan is very different than sub two, very different, but they were already somewhat cognizant that someone might want their interest rate. And these guys already moved. They have a medical emergency in the family. They want to, their goal was to find a place, or goal was to sell this property as soon as possible. That the goal was to sell this current property as soon as possible. And that's why they changed the price on it from, $850 down to $750 fairly quickly, because they just needed to sell this one. They didn't need to get the best price or whatever. They just needed to sell it so then they can move on to the next house and not worry about a property in another state. They've already moved, they already found their house. They just need to sell this one to get the money, some of the money that they need to buy their next house. They didn't need all the money, right? That's why we're able to sell or finance a piece of it, but they needed some of it to close on a new house. Like that's motivation. And not only coming and
100%.
talking to the agent and saying things like, the most common one we've been doing, right, for most people is low equity on market. And really, if you've held a property since 2020 or before, you have a decent amount of equity. Even 2021, a lot of people have solid equity depending on where they bought it and at what price. But, if it is an actual low equity opportunity, usually it was bought in the last year or two. So starting off the conversation by just saying, hey, looking at this beautiful house, it looks great. And then I'm like, oh, I'm looking at the Zillow listing right now. And usually if it was bought recently, I'd say, hey, I noticed that they just bought this property like a year or two ago. Is there anything wrong with the property? And then I don't say anything. And they're going to defend the property all day, though the property's perfect. Like the property is perfect, it has nothing to do with the property. The sellers lost their job or going through a divorce or what, you don't know. They'll go all the way. Some of them will say, well, no, whatever. They won't say anything, but a lot of the times they'll go in and explain, hey, it's just a situation with the seller. So that starts getting you a better understanding of their motivation. With that motivation in mind, then you can craft the right deal for them. For example, with this one, right? They needed to get it done quickly. They needed around 70-ish K to then close on their next property. That's all they need. And they just didn't want the loan to be stuck to they were fine with the loan being stuck to their name, but they didn't want it affecting their debt to income forever. They don't need it for this property, but it, like, they already have the debt to income. It's high enough. Well, their debt to income ratio, I don't know how to phrase this right. They have enough income to be able to buy this next deal, even with this debt underneath their
Right.
name. But in the future, they just don't want this to be an issue. So creatively financing it the way that we are is actually going to solve that problem for them. And we even made it easier because of our knowledge that we're going to lease option the property first, wait for them to close, even though they say it's fine, we're going to wait for them to close on their deal first, their one that they're moving into in the next few weeks. And then we're going to execute our option to close on this property with them, right? Just to make sure there are no issues, because lenders say things and they come back last minute and say, oh, our underwriter said you actually need to sell it, whatever. So it's going to free up their debt to income ratio either way to be able to buy their debt to income, to be able to buy their next house. And so like solving those problems, right? It was reverse engineering, it had nothing to do with the money at first. It just, they have this house, they need to sell it so they can use some of the money to buy their next house. They're already under contract in this next house, so time is more important for them. And they're flexible with leaving the loan underneath their name and giving up, you know, some of this interest. So that was that problem that we were able to solve, even though the wholesaler did a lot of it. When we renegotiated, understanding the motivation, we knew what we could and could not mess with. So for example, we had to pay them that down payment. What we did not have to do is give them any interest on their money. Is it cool? Is it good for them? Sure, but it's not a need, right? There's only so many levers: purchase price, down payment, amortization. I say payments overall, which is a component of your amortization schedule, and the interest rates that you're offering. If there's going to be a balloon, things like that. So, you know,
Yeah,
they
I
can
like that. Like, what's a need versus a want, right?
have everything. Like, it's got to work for both of us. I mean, they can have everything as long as it works for us, but then we have to decide with solid deal analysis understanding, what is the most important thing for me to do? Usually it's, how can I increase cash flow? Even if it comes at the cost of entry or a higher purchase price, how can I increase the cash flow or significantly reduce the entry cost? So getting their furniture that was already there is solving some problem for them. They don't have to worry about it. And for us, it helps minimize our entry costs for how much we have to pay for furnishing it, and increasing cash flow by decreasing the seller finance payment, by decreasing the interest, is super beneficial because it increases our cash flow and it massively benefits our ownership side of things. Because now we're not wasting money on interest on that second loan. It's all going towards principal. So it overall almost always is better to reduce interest and whatever you can do to reduce entry costs. Even if it means, like, we're buying this one 25K over what it's listed as, so 775, even though Zillow at 750, because of all these other terms that we're able to negotiate. That is way more beneficial, right? You have to analyze the deal for yourself and see if it makes sense for you. But for us, it makes a ton of financial sense because our cash flow and cash on cash return are much higher this way, even though we're losing 25K of potential equity, which is whatever, because we have this great creative deal. We could also sell it creatively in the future, meaning it's
Yep.
worth much more than what a traditional buyer would pay for anyway. So, you know, once you start taking yourself out of a rigid box and start looking at the deal holistically and what your variety of exit options are, plus what is the most important way to negotiate, like what is the most important things to focus on, it starts changing the way you're able to get deals done and negotiate. Because negotiation for me is all based on the numbers, which is very convenient for everyone. Some people are very emotional, especially homeowners who are selling their house. But for the most part, if you find their motivation, you could solve that problem. That will, that is your solution to be able to negotiate and lock up great deals. I mean, for sure, is understanding what do they need to do, and then negotiating on their wants, basically.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants 10 or 20% interest on their money. It is not freaking realistic, like everyone wants that, but it's not going to happen. Any other questions about that? I'm sorry if I didn't I kind of went all over, so.
You answered it. You answered it.
Awesome.
I think somebody else had a question. You're always talking over, got too excited.
Yeah, anyway, go for it. I think Trevor unmuted himself for a little bit. We also have an underwriting legend, Gabriel, in here as well. He is a stud underwriter. He is very creative when it comes to putting together good creative deals, I guess structuring deals based on like what is possible. I wonder how I can. Ah, there we go. How do I make myself?
Smaller?
There we go. In myself. I don't know what it looks like on the recording, but we'll go with this. I think Trevor shared something in the chat. Sorry, I missed these.
Yeah,
Trevor
I
has
just got that from a wholesaler,
Mhm.
and just doing a quick overview of it, just checking rental rates and stuff like that. There's no HOA.
Nice.
It looks like the short-term rental and a pad split would be the best exit strategy for
I
this.
wouldn't touch short-term rentals in Atlanta because
Okay.
it's so saturated.
Mhm.
So many options. All we do now is pad split and midterm rent in Atlanta. And we only midterm rent in areas that are really conducive to it. For example, near the airport is where we have a midterm rental. Otherwise, it's all pad splits in Atlanta. I'm not saying you should or shouldn't. Well, I guess I'm saying you shouldn't. I'm saying I don't. I guess maybe that's better. I don't like to consider short-term rentals in Atlanta unless it's like an incredible property. Do you have any
Right.
info on address or anything
Yeah.
that you want to share?
Yes. Hold on.
Let me pop this out. And we can start with some of the analysis. Unfortunately, we didn't do everything, but we can start. We'll probably have to save pad split for next week, but because then I could put all the tools and all that together for you all. All right, you can all see my screen, correct?
Mhm.
Okay, so I already made a copy of the calculator. Here's the property. I'll let you know within like half a second if this is even worth it.
Okay. Yeah, it wasn't like I said, I just did a quick little, so I just thought since there was no HOA, I said short-term rental, and then the pad split seemed like the two obvious exit
Pad split
strategies
won't
for
work.
this property.
Pad split
Hmm?
won't work. It's too small.
Too
You don't
small?
want pad splits that are not at least 6 bedroom.
Okay.
The bedroom to bath is phenomenal. You want a 4-to-1 ratio max for bedroom to bath for a pad split max. If you can be under that, 3-to-1 even better. But usually properties, I mean, you have to analyze them deal for deal, but
Mhm.
on average, 6 bedroom is the minimum that you want, because if you have even 1 or 2 vacancies on a 6 bedroom, you're probably already losing money. So six
Okay.
bedrooms gets you to a point in which you are cash flow neutral, if not positive. And then the extra 7th and 8th bedroom are just like extra money, right? They're just extra in excess of your monthly expenses. I will say you did highlight that the payment is really low on this one. It's only 1,800. Is that
Mhm.
1,800 PITI?
Yes, that's what they told me, and they said that they had statements to back it up. So I was like, okay, cool. I haven't seen anything other than what I showed you just now, though.
Okay, let's see if it's got at least it's got a good driveway. It looks like a B or C area, so that's better for pad split. I would still look at the deal, as a pad split, but I'm 60K, mortgage is 280. Okay, so they're probably buying it around the full asking price. It's not even under contract, or at least if it is, they
They
haven't.
said it is. They hasn't been posted, but they say they have it under contract,
Okay.
and it's like east of the airport.
Oh yeah, see, this is a perfect low equity candidate. So like if I were to have called this one in June, right, I would have done that exact thing that I just said. Right, what I was saying, how I talk to these agents. Hey, agent, I was looking at this beautiful property. My wife and I are looking for we're just looking for a property or whatever. Sometimes I'll say we're looking for a property for ourselves if it's in San Diego. If it's not, I'll say, we're looking at an investment property. This one definitely caught my eye. Looks like it was newly renovated. It looks beautiful. I'm looking through the Zillow listing right now. Or I'll ask them to tell me more about the property. They'll say whatever. And then I'll say, oh, I'm looking at the history. It looks like this one was just bought early last year. Is there something wrong with the property that I can't see on the listing?
Mhm.
I just wait. Right, and I just wait, and then they usually tell you what's going on. Yeah, fully
Mhm.
renovated, this looks like a beautiful property. New electrical, that's all great stuff. Let's see where it's actually located.
I wonder if it's a homestead property. Or if
So
it's,
yeah,
it
we
looks like.
own in College Park for midterm. Sorry, go for it. Yeah, this could be great for a homestead buyer. I mean, they were probably homestead. Yeah, see, like, you don't want it too far for pad split. You don't want it too far from downtown.
Mhm.
You don't want it too rural for midterm or short term. And it's not this is overly rural, but you see it's a lot greener in this area. There
Yeah.
is an airport right here,
They,
which is very convenient.
they do have pad split in that area. I did jump on that website right quick
You
just to
did?
see.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
because you can, I have my, I have my extra, I don't even know if you guys have access to the information that I have. Let me go into it real fast on my end and see what the, just give me one quick second. I have to change my Google profile. There it is. Whoops. Let me go
And
email.
while you pulled that up, my thought was as a pad split. I know you said like 6 bedrooms, but I didn't know that at the time. But just looking at the 4-3, I figure like 2 bedrooms would have their own bath. So maybe you can charge them like 250 or something like that. And then the other
Yeah.
2 bedrooms would be like 200 since it's a newly renovated property. That was just my thinking.
Um, potentially. I mean, we could quickly analyze it with those as numbers. I just want to pull up the,
I think I saw between like 150 and 200 a week, I think.
yes, well, that's a huge range. Ours are around 170, and that's the smallest room, and around, and then after that, it's really between 180 and 230. Also newly renovated property, but it's in northwest.
West,
Um,
northeast, maybe. I don't know.
no, northwest. It's up in this area. It's right up around here.
Right.
Yeah, something like that. Something in this area. I don't know. All right. So I just want to see if there's the tool that you all get access to as well. I don't know if there's like a public tool or if it's just for us because we have multiple properties.
Oh, okay.
I want to make sure, so I'm not just like. Okay,
Yeah. I just went into it and then put in Atlanta, and then they had a breakdown of the cities. So I picked Conyers, and then I just zoomed in, and then I saw there was properties there, pad splits there.
all right, I'm gonna have to stop sharing real fast. Just real quickly so I can log in. Yeah, they call it market spots. Okay. Okay, yeah, hosting tools. Let me log in real fast. Oh man, the whole freaking time is gone. All right, so I'm gonna start. So I went in, for me, I don't know, it's hosting tools market. Maybe there's an easy way to do that. Maybe under resources is how you do it normally. I just have a link. That's all I've ever used. Let's see, where to buy next, compare properties. Oh, here we go, calculate earnings. Maybe that's how. So it's do Atlanta. Did you use this tool at all?
No, I just went into find property, Atlanta, and then the city Conyers, and then I just zoomed in on the map.
Right. That's what we used to do. And then we
Yeah.
did.
I don't have all those tabs that you have, those drop downs that you have.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if everyone has all these options. That's the thing. So let's go into Atlanta. Yeah, so maybe you need to talk to them and see what they can do for you, but it is pretty sick. So it shows you the number of units, the demand, huge demand. And yours was, here's the airport. It's around this area, I think like 30.
Yeah. 30354. So go east of the airport.
There it is. Okay, 144 units. None pending. Average weekly is 173 per week. 247 with a private bathroom, 168 with a shared bathroom. That's pretty close to what we're getting. 86% average occupancy, 1 day to first booking, 11 days to 80%. A lot of that is true. Atlanta is like super hot for this, like massively so. Let me copy this for you. I will drop it in the chat so you can reference it for yourself.
Thank you.
So I hope that you can.
Actually, I'm curious, Michael, what type of individual you're getting in Atlanta for your particular pad split? Is it a student? Is it just a regular blue collar worker?
It depends. I will just say usually young working professionals who just need, that's especially more so of our Florida tenants, young working professionals in the city, especially near the city. But it's all type. I mean, we've had people who are recent divorcees who need a place for a few months as they, figure out what they're going to do next. We've had people who really travel a lot for work, so they don't want to overspend. They just need a place to go to consistently when they come into town. But I would say a lot of it is that working professional, that young working professional who really spends a lot of their time in their room when they're home just to sleep or work. They typically have an office that they're working at anyway. They go out to eat a lot or they order like DoorDash and things like that. So they don't have to worry so much about like using the common areas and cleaning and all that kind of stuff. Let me quickly, so there's not even a purchase price on here. They kind of want you to say purchase price is the 60K entry plus the mortgage, but I don't know how much of that is going to the seller or not. So we can estimate some of this. So we'll say it is 305, 392, and the down payment is 20,000. So we're not gonna do a percent, we're gonna say 20,000. We're gonna change this to equal 20,000 divided by the purchase price. So it's around a 7% down payment. I'm just making that number up. I don't actually know. Of the 60,000 entry, how much is down payment? How much is agent commission? How much is wholesaler fees? So I'm gonna
The wholesale fee I know is 6K, which sounds really low to me, and I think the majority is the agent commission.
So the agent's probably getting, are they getting both buyer and seller side, or are they
That,
just getting 2.5%? Do you know?
no, I don't know. They only said that 6K was the assignment fee. And then they said because I said that's a pretty high entry fee. And they
Mhm.
said, yeah, the majority is going to the agent. And then they told me 6K for the assignment. That's how they put it.
Okay, so let's change this. Let's just say the agent is getting 5%. I don't know what it is now. And what the down payment will be is, well, so we're gonna see, this is what I mean, where it starts getting real messy real quick when you get stuff like this. So 60K minus 6K minus agent commission of this amount. So that means the seller's getting 38,730 is what we're gonna say. So 38,730. And what we're gonna say is the purchase price equals this plus the mortgage amount, which is here. And let me change this to the right amount, which is 285,392. So we're kind of reverse engineering what the purchase price really is. And then you subtract away the down payment or the cash to the seller and the agent commission and the assignment fee. So these three should now equal the 60K. 6936. Why are we like a tiny bit off? We shouldn't be off at all. 60,000 minus 6,000 minus, oh, because the agent commission is a percentage. So let's just say it's 16,000. We're going to just change that too. So we're going to say equals that. Honestly, it's not going to matter at the end of the day.
Right.
because it's not gonna change your entry, but, all right, so let's go that route now. So now that that's 16,000 minus. So it's 38,000, cool. And this purchase price should be, I don't know why I keep messing things up. So the down payment is 38,000. All right, let's do that. And the purchase price will be 323,392. There we go. Okay, so we basically recreated and kind of made the numbers make sense in some capacity. For the purchase price, we had to reverse engineer that based on the down payment plus the loan is the purchase price. There is an agent commission, which we're estimating around $16,000, which is right around 5%, and the assignment fee of 6,000. We're going to get rid of all this stuff for you all, but you know, when I have TC fees, LLC formation costs, inspections, I use, you know, Gator funds, EMD funds to purchase our deals. So we need to account for that and the refund of all that. Closing costs, we're gonna estimate around 2%. And actually we will include, let's say $1,800 roughly for the TC costs. We can say $2,000 for TC and inspection. Rehab furnishing, we're gonna assume it's turnkey for this example, and carrying costs for 3 months of the monthly expenses. So all this stuff does not matter. The seller finance piece, because there's no seller finance loan, so none of this stuff matters because there's no dollar amount there. What we do need to do is account for the original seller finance loan so that we can estimate the monthly payments. You have your PITI at 1,800. I'm not even sure how that's possible, but we could do for this example, just to move past it, is to say this is 1,800. Now it's going to mess everything up, but 1,800, and then we're going to get rid of taxes and insurance here. Okay, because I don't have a mortgage statement. If I had a mortgage statement, we can actually break that down, right? What's escrow? What's your tax and insurance? And what's your principal and interest on your loan? We could pull some stuff up from PropStream and all that. We just don't have a lot of time right now. And I want to get you something to work with here. So we'll leave the rest as is for right now. So 1,800. I don't know what the long-term rental income is. I don't even care right now. We can quickly just estimate, fine, 2,500. I think that's too high. It's probably closer to like 2,200, but we're going to.
I have some numbers for the rental amounts if you need it.
For long-term.
Yeah, I got 2,100 for long-term rental.
Yep.
And
Okay.
what else?
So obviously that's already going to be negative between
Yep.
basically the tax and insurance, PITI alone, assuming you're not covering anything else, it's already negative. Just accounting for just 10% property management. So real quickly, we can see the long-term rental when you account for reserves is negative 288. If you were to just exclude your reserves, it would be closer to $90 positive cash flow. Still a terrible return.
Right.
Because this is sub 2, you can't really change anything. You can't change the loan amount that you're taking over, and you can't change and reduce the monthly payment. So your cash flow is not going to get any better. The only thing you can try to do is reduce your entry costs by either paying the seller less of a down payment, the agent gets less money, or the assignment fee gets lower. There's really not a lot of wiggle room for the assignment fee here. And if you want them to work on your behalf, you're probably going to need to tell them to negotiate these two somewhat, because this is not a good cash flowing deal as a long-term rental. So let's look at pad split. So this is a 4-bedroom already. So it's, this is a 4-bed, 3-bath. We're not going to, there's really no room, I would say, to add. You can't tell from the photos, but I would assume there's no room to add any extra bedrooms, because 4x3 and 1350 is already pretty built out. And
Right.
a flipper is usually going to, these guys who flipped it the first time, they're going to already add the maximum amount of bedrooms and bathrooms they usually can. We can quickly look, but there's no like living room to turn into a bedroom. It's barely,
Right.
barely enough. I mean, could you put something here? Sure. But there's a bedroom door, there's sliding glass doors. Everything is connected through here. Like you can't really make a bedroom in the middle of this living room. Some of them you can, especially if there's like a dining room or something, but there's nothing here that would allow you to add more rooms. So we're gonna add, you can't add any more. So you don't need to add any bedrooms, but you will need to furnish each of the bedrooms. At 4 bedrooms, I just approximate around 1,500 is what we usually see. Plus that includes a little bit for the living room, common area, kitchen, all that. That's kind of averaged out in here. So your total entry is closer to $80,000 once you account for that 6. Your weekly rate is, how many were private bathrooms versus shared?
2 private, and then there'll be 2 shared.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a feature to my calculator. So calc, pad split, separate incomes for verse shared. So I'm gonna split it up now. That's the cool thing about having your own calculator. You can literally do whatever you want. So the next update will include that. This will be split, but usually what I do is average. You said 2 shared, 2 private? No, wait.
Yes.
Yeah. So what we'll do, since it's nice and easy, we'll just do the average of them because it's the same thing. So equals, you can just use the built-in average. And our 2 values are, what do we see for pad split? It was very similar to the number.
Yeah, 247, I think
7
you
and
said.
168. Okay. 247. So we'll say 247 and 168. So the average is 208, right? Between those two,
Mhm.
right? That makes sense. And that's usually what we do, but 35.97 for that. Utilities and all that are going to cost you approximately another $600. That's what I have preset in there. That's, you know, 400 for water, electric, gas, and trash, 100 for internet, and 100 for landscaping per month. Maybe there's other expenses you need to account for. Pad split on average is going to be around 15% for management. Pad split itself is collecting around 10-ish% of that, and they're collecting the first 10 days of rental income. So the longer your tenant stays in place, the better it is for you with pad split's pricing model, if they don't change it again, because they've changed it a few times in this last year. But we'll stick with that. Vacancy at 8%, which translates to right around 1 month a year, the property is sitting vacant, or each bedroom in this instance would be sitting vacant. And then maintenance and CapEx, yes, it's newly renovated. You could adjust these numbers a little bit to say that, you could adjust these numbers a little bit to say that because it's newer, maybe it's only 5%, you know, maintenance and CapEx, because the roof is new, electrical is new, plumbing's new, whatever. That's up to you as long as you're comfortable with making a decision like that, knowing that you're cutting your reserves from 4,300 to 2,100. In my opinion, if and when we do something like that, we are raising that equivalent amount. So if we cut this from, what do we have? If we cut this from 4,300 down to 2,100, I would add that extra 2,000 into your carrying cost. That's what we do. We will just front raise it. It won't come out of the cash flow each month, but we'll front raise it. In this instance, even if you set this at 0%, it's not going to matter for this deal, right?
Mhm.
Because it's so low cash flow. And I'm telling you, just based on analyzing a bunch of deals, you need to get around the 6 properties just to kind of get close to something reasonable. So let's just say we added 2 more bedrooms. We'll say it's part of this average rent. If you added those 2 extra bedrooms, even though you're raising an extra 13,000, well, actually you're raising an extra $15,000, your cash flow is now up, right? You went from 190 of your $1,000 goal that you're looking for in monthly cash flow, and 2.8% cash on cash to 15%. Even though you're going to increase your capital raise $15,000, the income generated from those 2 bedrooms is leading to much higher, obviously much higher cash flow, and even then a significantly higher cash on cash return. I will say it's a little disingenuous because this should probably scale with the property. It's not a 1-for-1, but we could probably add an extra $200 of extra utilities, since a lot of it's like delivery fees and all that stuff as much as usage. So even then, yeah, your cash flow went down a little bit, but your overall returns are much higher. So you see what I mean about like 6 is kind of where you want to get to at minimum. Then you get to
Right.
like 7 or 8. That's where real pad split wealth is generated. And on average, the best pad splits are around 7 bedrooms. And that generates you net around $1,500 a month in cash flow. especially if you're using a lender. So if you were using this calculator to estimate how to raise capital for this, see, I've already set up, this is gonna be a pad split. So the M13. Let's see, how do I change this? Oh, that's right. I was building out another cool functionality. So when you change the rate based on the strategy, it'll update it here. And then from here, it'll pull it into here. So all this analysis will be done, not just on long-term rental, but all of the analysis methods. It's taking me a little bit of time, but I'll have that figured out. But let's go into our lending. If we were to use other people's money, right? This is based on the, let's just go back to 2 bedrooms. If you could have added 2 bedrooms, this will show you if you use the private money partner, you give them 32% ownership and 32% cash flow, they would be looking at around 5% cash on cash return, and then a 15% total return on investment. For me, like I said, I like to get my lenders, my partners, 6 to 8%, right around 7% usually, and their ROI closer to 20%. So maybe I'll do something like 40% and 40%. So ownership is going to benefit their return on investment, but the cash flow will benefit their cash on cash return. So I'd say maybe I need to give them around 45%. You could still keep ownership at 32%, but if you give them 45% of cash flow, they're getting a solid return on their money. For every dollar they're investing, they're getting 7% return on that money, right? Which a private money lender is getting between 10 to 12%, right? They should not be receiving theoretically more than a private money lender in regards to like the interest that they receive, because they're also getting all of these ownership benefits as well.
Okay.
Right. So that's if you use a private money partner, this is what it would look like. But that's not possible if the property isn't cash flowing, right? Because you have to pay them something. And then we have, if you were to use a private money lender, let's say at 12%, 0 origination points, the cash flow you'd have left over with a private money lender, if paying them 12%, is $325 a month. That's how much cash flow they generate, and your returns are now infinite. Or no, this is how your private money lender will be making around $960 a month interest on their money, and you will be making net after all that $325 a month, and your returns are infinite in this scenario because you have no money in the deal. You raise the capital for the deal. So this if you could have the extra 2 bedrooms, this would be infinite returns. As is, it doesn't make sense as is already. Barely generating any money. It's not worth the returns. And you have no ability to pay anyone anything that would make it worthwhile for them. Maybe someone would be willing to do it if you gave them 100% of the cash flow, but they're only getting 3% cash on cash return. Yes, they're getting the other ownership benefits, so it might make sense for them, but it wouldn't work with a PML, and it probably won't work with a PMP either. They have a better opportunity. They would just invest in my deal instead, the one I just presented, where they're going to get almost 8% cash on cash and 20% ROI, So you got to make sure it makes sense for them. And the cool thing about this calculator is when it's time to raise the deal, all we do is screenshot this and it shows the information they need. How much of the money is going towards, what's the total acquisition cost? Like what's the breakdown for these? What are some of the financing terms that you're getting here? And what do the returns look like at 1, 5, and 10 year increments? Same with the private money lenders, right? It's a little different, right? What does the private money lender, they want to know how profitable is this property? How profitable is the property? And then what do their returns look like? Or what does the cash flow look like based on their returns so that they feel comfortable that you can actually pay them out what you say you're going to. It's not going to matter on this, it's negative, but just wanted to highlight all that good stuff on there. Cool?
That's good. Yes, yes. Thank you.
I know we kind of had to finagle our way there, but I wanted to get you something that would at least be beneficial for future deals. Cool, y'all. Any things before we call it a day? We went a little over, but that's okay. I wanted to touch on some of that stuff. So, if you want the calculator, I'm going to drop the link down below. There's the free one and then there's the paid one. It's totally up to you. There it is. So there's like the full calculator. You can do that. You get the free one is on the same website. It's linked in our school community, all that good stuff. So thanks y'all. Appreciate you. This recording will be in school, but only you have to unlock it. So keep engaging with each other. Keep liking, commenting, posting, all that good stuff, and you'll unlock it at level 6. So bye y'all.
All right, thank you.